Our goal is to help protect civilians and the civilian populated areas under threat of attack. NATO is implementing all aspects of the UN resolution in a balanced and impartial way. My thanks go out to our coalition counterparts. The handover of these responsibilities was seamless, without any gap in the international UN-mandated military presence over Libya. NATO's task is to close Libya's airspace to all flights except aid and humanitarian flights. NATO aviators and controllers will do everything they can to deny any use of air power against civilians. They will do so with care and precision and to avoid harming the people of Libya. If ordered to do so, NATO aircraft can engage any planes which violates the no-fly zone. And of course, NATO can act in self-defense. I know many of you are interested in the operational details, and now that NATO has command, we will be updating you on a daily basis with more specific information regarding this military effort. Without the great support of all contributors, this mission could simply not have been accomplished. For that reason, I want to emphasize the importance of this alliance and its partners. The speed and agility with which NATO has acted is the future of NATO. And this is the future of the alliance. With that, I'll be glad to take a few questions. Mitch, let's go to Brussels.
Brussels, Oana, can we have 2 questions, please?
We've got 2 questions that were already asked before, Lieutenant General, if I may. Europa Press and DPA, if you could ask your questions.
Thank you so much, General. We hear that NATO has opened an investigation on the bombardments yesterday around Tripoli that could have caused up to 40 people. I understand that NATO didn't actually have the command yesterday for these kind of operations against land objectives. I would like you to confirm that NATO is also going to investigate an operation that it did not lead. Is this the case?
I am aware of this news report, and this is initial reporting. But NATO took over command of Operation Unified Protector as of 0600 this morning. We are investigating and will report you the details once the investigation is completed.
Okay, sorry, I'm Peter Ebeling from DPA, the German press agency. General, a very basic question perhaps. Could you please give us an exact figure about the NATO countries participating in this operation, and perhaps a figure about the non-NATO partners being active in this operation as well? Thank you.
The exact NATO partners, from my perspective, can be provided by the Supreme Headquarters Allied Power of Europe. As far as the Allies, they continue to add themselves to our effort as we speak right now. So we're working out the details, we're working out the transition of that part and welcome their membership. And I'll make sure that you get some of the more details from Mitch later on.
Thank you, Brussels, for those 2 questions. I'm going to return back to Naples now. We have questions from Naples. The first question from this lady by here.
Salve, Francesca Pilla il Manifesto, posso parlare in italiano?
May I speak in Italian?
In realtà la domanda l'ha già fatta la collega, però se si può avere qualche delucidazione in più?
Could I have some further explanations about a question that has already been made by a colleague of mine?
Perché il vescovo Martinelli di Tripoli parla di 40 vittime civili.
As the Bishop Martinelli of Tripoli is speaking of 40 victims.
Vi risulta e che significa state investigando? Che tipo di investigazione?
What do you mean when you say investigating? What type of investigation are you carrying out?
Well, it's very simple. We are aware of this news report. We are aware that it's been published in the press. And my investigation is to ascertain whether or not NATO forces were involved in this incident, and we will report details of that investigation.
Second question.
General, indulge with me if I persist, because on this issue, it is more than a news report. It's the Bishop of Tripoli who is claiming to be an eyewitness to what has happened. And even if NATO was not in overall command, obviously there may or may not be lessons to be learned. So I would like you to listen to what he said exactly, so that maybe perhaps you can formulate another response, which is what I'm asking for. Bishop Martinelli says, "It is true that the bombardments seem pretty much on target, but it is also true that when they hit military targets, which are in the middle of civilian neighborhoods, the population is also involved." Yes, and he goes on to say, "Yesterday, I said that bombardments had hit, albeit indirectly, some hospitals. To be precise, one of these hospitals is in Midsta," he said, mentioning a town about 145 kilometers southwest of the capital. So basically what I'm saying is that apparently there is an eyewitness that there were civilian casualties. Could you respond to that and your position on civilian casualties, and whether this is a lesson now that NATO has taken over?
Well, I am aware of this report. It is a news report, and I appreciate the source of the news report, but it's worth it. I take every one of those issues seriously, in fact. But however, our command, NATO mission, started at 0600 this morning, and we began operation under NATO flag today. As far as lessons learned, let me restate that by saying that we are very careful in the prosecution of any of the possible targets that we have. We have very strict rules of engagement provided to us, and we are operating within the legal mandate of our United Nations Mandate 1973. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Got one final question, sir.
Good morning, Francesco Girello, News Agency Alberino. I would like to know about NATO, how we control the boundaries, the southern boundaries of the country of Libya, which should be the main door of terrorism and trafficking. And if it's possible to suppose or hypothesize in the weeks ahead the deployment of ground troops there in that area. Thank you very much.
Good question. But my mandate is to protect civilian populations and civilian centers from being under attack by living forces. Activities along the borders area are not, my mandate is quite strict, and I will operate within my mandate. As to any form of speculations, as to any further involvement, my mandate is clear. We will help protect and defend people, civilians, and population centers against attacks from Libyan forces. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And maybe in closing, I'd like to offer closing thoughts, is that for those who are acting against the civilian population and the civilian centers, you would be ill-advised to continue such activities. I recommend that you cease these activities. Thank you.
Lieutenant General, in Naples, thank you very much for everyone who's been listening here and there, and we'll stay in touch.